Hello and welcome to this edition of Reporters on France 24, the weekly magazine featuring in-depth stories from correspondents around the world. I'm Andrea Sankey. This week, the unrecognized Republic of Nagorno Karabagh. Its people speak Armenian, use Armenian currency, they have their own flag and president. But they live on what's internationally recognized as Azerbaijani soil. Now, following a referendum, the people of Nagorno Karabagh declared their formal independence from Azerbaijan in January of 1992. The move sparked a brutal war which left some 30,000 people dead. In the end, the mostly Christian Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh remained part of the majority Muslim Azerbaijan. Though a ceasefire was declared to end the fighting 13 years ago, Nagorno forces remain prepared to battle again. And with financial and moral support from Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh continues to strengthen its precarious existence. Here now, a report from this rarely seen Southern Caucasus state.
The temperature is high and the tension palpable. We're in the heart of the Caucasus Mountains, in Asperes, a training area for Nagorno-Karabakh's army. These exercises are just routine for these young trainee soldiers. Today's assignment, to destabilise and capture the enemy positions. Just 100 metres away is Karabakh's infantry, ready in case of attacks. In Karabakh, they don't skimp on military training. These soldiers are just 18 years old, but they're already handling T-72 tanks. These huge tanks were inherited from the Soviet era.
You know, I'm proud to be here. The most important thing is to always be ready to defend and protect one's land, one's people in the event of a war.
In their sights is Azerbaijan. This region was devastated by the war between Christian Armenians and Muslim Azeris. Some 30,000 people died between 1991 and 1994. Since then, a ceasefire has been established, but the peace remains fragile.
We have numerous tanks to counterattack if needed. We have so many machines that we would be able to prevent the enemy from consolidating their position immediately. We are ready, and the tanks are ready as well.
Nagorno-Karabakh, a post-Soviet self-proclaimed republic, a country which does not exist, unrecognised by the international community. It's a rural region, landlocked at the doors of Asia. A disputed region between Christian Armenians and Muslim Azeris. Azhabnyak, a little village. Here the two peoples, the two religions, used to live together. But war put an end to this. Our presence arouses the villagers' interest. In front of a grocery store, a discussion begins. Eleonora explains that she lost her husband and son during the war.
After all we've been through, we can't be scared anymore. We lived through awful moments. During the war, the bombs, the planes, the helicopters. We were scared. But what can I be afraid of now? That's the way it is. We live a bit, we are built, everything goes back to normal, and everything collapses again.
To help needy families, the government launched a wide-scale resettlement project. They built new houses, but for now, not many people want to settle here, as it's a little too far from the capital's centre. In any case, Vladimir finds he's not entitled to one of these new houses as he's single. So he manages to get by as best he can.
Here is the house where I live. This is my home. I pick up bits of metal here and there.
A tiny land amongst old ruins. Pieces of metal, a few potatoes, geese, and his home. Vladimir is proud to show us his bed, and even his meagre harvest. A few tools, a jacket, shoes. This is all he's got.
Today, some receive subsidies to construct their houses so they can make it. The others, like me, get by as well as they can. We rely on ourselves.
Completely devastated 15 years ago, the Republic's economy remains fragile. Today, it's entirely propped up. A total budget of $93 million, of which 70% is provided by Karabagh's neighbour and friend Armenia. Another big investor is the Armenian diaspora. Armenians worldwide inject increasing sums of money into Karabagh's economy every year. Schools, hospitals, homes, but most of all, roads. This stretch, for instance, 700 metres financed by generous donors from Argentina. Essential for Karabagh's economy, there are roadworks everywhere.
The diaspora sends money for us to build roads, so it should be perfect. Otherwise, we won't be given money anymore.
Every day, Eddie and his yellow machine build 300 metres of road.
This road is strategic to link our villages. Of course, work is hard here, and the weather is very hot these days. But look at this road. It is really beautiful. It will last dozens of years. It is really worth the pain.
Here, there's only a dirt road. We're on the mine site of Base Metals, Karabagh's biggest firm.
Here is the crushing.
Zaven Seterian is the production director.
102,000 people work here in this mine. The average salary is 3,060 euros per month. It is a good salary. We recruit people from everywhere, even from Armenia.
40 metres underground, only aided by his lamp torch. Pavel digs into the rock. 8 hours a day, surrounded by dust.
Karabagh's wealth is right here. We extract copper, zinc, and gold from this mine. Now have to dig again.
The exploitation period for this mine is around 8 years. Base Metals supplies some 30% of the Republic's tax income. Financially, there's a lot at stake. Around the mine, there are fences and lookout posts. In Karabagh, Azerbaijan is never far away, just behind the mountains. And everyone is ready to defend the territory, especially Zaven Zeterian.
We are not scared of the future. Karabagh's economy must develop. Our army is strengthening itself and is defending our borders. I am confident. We are on our land, our ancestors' land.
After the war, a buffer zone was established between Nagorno Karabagh and Azerbaijan. These are arid lands with little or no human activity. The ruins of the former cohabitation of the two civilizations are still evident. A cemetery, some graves, traces of a past Muslim presence are carved into the rocks. These relics of the past are unsettling for Karabagh authorities. In this area, it's forbidden to film.
Oh, I already told you! Out of Ascaron City, it's forbidden to film. You are out of the zone.
The chief of police is annoyed. Azerbaijan is indeed just a few kilometres away, and the area is dangerous. To see the frontier, we need to be accompanied by the military. We drive fast. Chief Officer Arushanian explains to us that we are not to stop here. Azeri snipers are allegedly hidden, not far into the wilderness. We're in the trenches. This has been a rigid front line for 13 years. Just 300 metres away from the Azeri front line. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, soldiers keep watch, tracking every movement of enemy troops.
From time to time they fire. During our shifts, we sometimes see people, we rally down, we let our superiors know.
They're waiting for an enemy that never comes, but these military youth are firm in their conviction that it will. Officers keep watch and maintain spirits with pep talks.
We are ready, armed to the hilt. Our aim is to prevent the enemy from gaining ground. The Guard must keep watch on their position. In case the enemy advances, we will fire immediately.
In Karabagh, defence of the region is a priority, and most of all, protecting its capital. In the hills surrounding Stepanakert, there are anti-aircraft Shulka tanks, ready to intervene if necessary. There are 40,000 inhabitants in Stepanakert, a capital that bears the scars of 4 years of wide-scale conflict. Today, reconstruction has already started, and there are murmurings of independence for this unrecognised republic. On official buildings at least, some national symbols have already appeared. There's a national anthem, and the territory has even elected a president. Bako Sahakian secured 85% of votes in the first round ballot. We spoke to him in his modest office. It's a provisional space, his former campaign headquarters.
Our main political aim is Karabakh's independence. And all our efforts are directed towards the full recognition of the Republic by the international community.
Saturday is a day off for most military staff in Karabagh. Soldiers leave their garrison houses to meet their families. This moment away from the front line is a chance to breathe. Raya is an Azeri woman, one of the very few left in Karabagh. If one day war breaks out again, her son is likely to be sent to the front line to fight against her country, Azerbaijan. It's a weighty dilemma for this woman, who is now completely integrated in Karabagh society.
I don't see myself live without Karabagh. Of course, I have some problems, in particular, to see my family in Azerbaijan, to see my parents crave, to see my relatives. I miss them a lot. But this is my destiny. How can I fight against that? Now it is difficult to meet each other.
In Shushi, Sunday is Mass Day for the Christian Apostolics. This was a Muslim stronghold during the war, and Azeris used the Holy Saviour Church as a weapons warehouse.
Shushi was a Muslim stronghold during the war. The Holy Saviour Church was used as a weapon warehouse by the Azeris.
Mass is carried out in an old Armenian language called Kerapa. It's now only spoken in churches. Few people still attend Mass. Their attention is elsewhere.
People here lost everything on a human and spiritual level. Their motherlands remain, but everything has to be reconstructed. Their economic and social situation is their priority.
Karabakh's situation remains up in the air. It's neither at peace nor at war. After the failure of negotiations in June, the population's hope is hanging on the upcoming meeting in autumn between the Armenian Azeri president. They hope to resolve a conflict that's already lasted 13 years and eventually to mourn its 30,000 victims.
And Ashwin Alaverdian, one of the reporters on that story, joins us now for comment. Ashwin, at this meeting to be held in the fall, what are the chances that the stalemate will actually be resolved?
Well, the chances are slight because there were negotiations already in June. They didn't lead to any substantial agreement. Also, most diplomats agree on the fact that as there are upcoming elections, both in Armenia and in Azerbaijan in 2008, both presidents and both ministers of foreign affairs are not ready to make substantial concessions right now.
But how long can Nagorno-Karabakh continue with this de facto state status? Can this go on indefinitely?
Well, Nagorno-Karabakh goes on, and life goes on there, mostly because Armenia helps as well, and the Armenian diaspora, and also one must acknowledge that the economy is also developing there. But indeed, there is no status for this territory like in other places like Kosovo. But this lack of international status is obviously a big problem.
This could take a long time. Do you think war could break out again?
No. I don't know, but I think that both parties are ready. I think people, at least, we met the people, and people want.
So the militaries are preparing, but the people don't want it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Meanwhile, how do those people, the ordinary civilians of Karabakh, go on with their daily lives?
Well, as I said, life goes on in Karabakh. People are not thinking about war all the time. They're kind of confident for their future and so on. But still, you can notice and you can feel war in the streets. There are military people everywhere. And also, as you might have noticed in the report, the authorities are quite vigilant on who is entering the territory and so on. Okay,
Ashwin Alaverdi, and unfortunately that's all the time we have, so thanks so much for joining us. That is all for this edition of Reporters. Remember, if you'd like more information on our program, you can always log on to our website. That's at France24.com. Click on Special Reports. Until next week, then, I'm Andrea Sankey. Thanks for joining us.